Hello guys, how's it going? My name is Dalaran, and when you have a bunch of higher rated rogues, definitely higher rated than me, come out and say that the rogues are in a pretty shitty spot right now, and with the future nerfs that we're seeing, you know that's where the problem is at. I've been talking about rogues are nerfed, and some of you are like, hey man, quit bitching, quit crying, rogues that deserve nerfs and whatever. Half of you, I believe, don't even play rogues. So I feel like a lot of the people that are commenting stop bitching don't even know what the issues are, don't even know where rogues are coming from because of the literal existential nightmare that our class has to go through. It's not fun. On one hand, yes, we could be looking at, oh, rogues are not overpowered, alright, they're in a good position, but we're at a point where rogues are replaceable by every other class. Right now, Assassination rogues do okay damage, but they definitely got undertuned. They're replaced by a feral in terms of dot damage and the basically similar gameplay that a feral is able to provide. Feral provide more damage, and ferals are not as squishy. Then we have subtlety, which is another spec that's played the most besides Assassination, and that can easily be replaced with a Windwalker. And even Naj, a multi-glad rogue, said the same thing. Windwalker is just overall better. Windwalker has better damage. It's one tick of Fist of Fury, deals more damage than an Eviscerate, as Senses was able to put it. And when it comes to Outlaw, it is way too RNG. Like the roll the bones mechanic, it's interesting, but when you apply it for PvP, you do realize that, oh, this isn't actually all that great. The class design and the ability design is actually pretty crap. Like there's not a lot you can really do about it, let's be honest. But let me play a clip of One Man and Naj talking a little bit on a live stream. I have links to both of them and a link to Senses to show you guys just what some of the higher rated rogues are saying on rogues right now, and some of the future changes coming out in patch 7.1.5.
Naj about rogues right now. I feel like Blizzard over nerfed them pretty hard. If they fix pallies though, I think rogues will be in a much better spot, but I definitely think Blizzard over nerfed rogues.
There's a point in twos where the only comp you would see is this rogue in 703. Assassination was way overtuned. I think they did it justice, but like they just destroyed it, honestly, too far.
Now the season 12 that Naj is referring to is in Pandaria, where rogues actually had a choice of prep versus shadow step with a 3-minute advantage and a 3-minute blind. Back in Pandaria, an actual fucking choice between an ability that gives you an extra charge on your vanish, on your evasion, on your cloak before they changed it to a 1-minute cooldown, on your sprint, on your disarm. It gives you all this utility, but it's a choice between actual mobility and utility. Most high-rated rogues had to choose utility because of what it provided, but then you literally were cutted and you had to waddle around it all over the place. It literally was the worst class design choice, and a lot of people were just very, very unhappy in Mr. Pandaria. But season right afterwards, literally a patch, next one, I'm pretty sure it was patch 6.2, it made rogues viable, everybody was playing subtlety, hell, even combat was somewhat okay. And by the end of Pandaria, you could technically play each spec, every single spec rogue. Subtlety, of course, leading the charge, then Assassination will be the next viable option for its raw damage potential, and then there will be combat. But everybody remembers the very first season of Pandaria for rogues, and it was such a garbage season. It was actually some of the worst changes that we saw, and it seems like Blizzard is continuing the trend of making some of the most worst changes out there. One of the trends that we're seeing in patch 7.1.5, which kind of shows that Blizzard still hasn't really changed the way they nerf and buff and balance out abilities, is with Deeper Stratagem. Currently, Deeper Stratagem is the only talent that most subtlety rogues are using, most outlaw rogues are using, that gives you a damage increase. For PvP, it is very crucial in terms of dealing any form of damage, even though outlaw and subtlety both are completely replaceable by a Windwalker monk. Deeper Stratagem still allows you to deal some form of damage. It allows you to do at least something. And when they're nerfing Deeper Stratagem, even though Anticipation should probably get a buff because it offers you no damage capabilities, even though Vigor should get a buff because it honestly doesn't offer you any damaging capabilities whatsoever either, except specifically it offers you an energy management for Assassination. But I feel like when you have an ability that's just so specific and so niche, then they should probably take a look at what can Anticipation offer you as an outlaw, what can it offer you as a subtlety, what can it offer you as an Assassination rogue. And maybe that's the issue with the fact that we're playing a class that's a triple DPS spec class. I guess it would be alright if at least one of the specs was just like, whoa, you have to play this spec if you want to do good for PvP. But right now, Rogue as a class is kind of like the replaceable class. Like you wanted to play Assassination and have some crazy burst with lax CC, or you could play Feral that deals more consistent damage, deal better burst damage, is not as squishy. You want to play Subtlety with a lot of mobility, stun locking enemies and dealing wet noodle damage? Or you could play Windwalker, do exactly the same thing, but deal actual good damage without even popping a burst. Do you want to play Outlaw? No, you don't. You think you do, but you don't. You think you do, but you don't. Perfect quote from the guys over at Blizzard. As Senses described in his video, the game is not really about CC lineups. It is more about the burst, and that is indicative from seeing and looking at the arena ladders, at least on the US side. I'm not sure how they're doing on EU, but you'll see a lot of melee, Mongo, cleave comps just dominating the brackets, and I'll link Sense's video where he talks a little bit more about it and some of his thoughts. And I guess Rogue is the kind of spec that's all about CC and lineups, and when you have damage as a more competitive factor than CC, especially in PvP, you're basically PvE-ing everybody down. So when I said Blizzard is pruning PvP, they are basically allowing players to PvE their way into PvP. And I guess it's understandable if certain classes have a ton of damage but they lost a lot of CC utility, like Assassination Rogues for example. But when they're nerfing their damage over and over and over, when there's plenty of other classes and specs that are doing much more damage than they ever have in the past, then you gotta ask yourself, like, what the fuck is going on, man? So you have this game where damage counts for more than anything in PvP, where everybody who does CC is falling behind tremendously. Where rogues have been getting this random ass, unfair nerfs. Again, Deeper Stratagem nerf is just a ridiculous nerf in my opinion. It makes no sense where we ask for, hey, could you rethink our alacrity and vigor abilities? It seems like they're not strong enough. Oh, you feel like alacrity and vigor are not strong enough? Well, make them stronger by nerfing your only viable option. Like, who the hell does that? And then when we're seeing all these rogue nerfs and all the rogues are like, hey, I think you're literally taking away our utility. I think you're making us replaceable by any other class in the game for PvP, saying, I think this is unfair, and here's some of the reasons why. Here's some of the things that I would do differently, and here's my 2600 rating. Like, there's people with actual experience in Rogue going out and saying, hey, this is wrong. I think this was done poorly. I think this could have been done differently, and here are some of the options of how it could have been done differently. And there's just people going off of their past experiences, and we're not getting jack shit. Instead, as one man puts it, we have a bunch of idiots still complaining that rogues are OP. Yeah, let me be frank with you guys. I feel that if you are a rogue and you're hearing somebody else say rogues are OP, and they're complaining about rogues and are saying rogues deserve the nerfs, you of all people are seeing the ridiculous nerfs, and you're all seeing the trend that rogues been nerfed since their release. But my guess is there's still people that are allowing themselves to trinket a rogue's blind, and then complain when the rogue is able to kill him in a stunlock opener because they wasted their trinket. And that, or there's plenty of people out there that are doing the world quests and they feel like they're safe, and out comes a subtlety rogue that's not constricted by the bullshit PvP stat template and is able to actually put some real damage like they should be able to this whole time. But those are just my thoughts, take it with a grain of salt. This is just my opinion, and hey, everybody on the internet can have an opinion, no matter how shitty it is. And trust me, mine is not any better than anyone else's. Thank you guys so much for watching this video. Let me know what you think in the comments below. I just wanted to reinforce the idea that, hey, the higher rated players are talking about rogue nerfs. If you watched my videos and you saw that, hey, this guy is just a 2K rated player, probably nothing to, take seriously. This is nothing to scoff at. We have higher rated players that are saying the same thing that I've been saying. So if you haven't believed me due to me having no gladiator standing in the past, then please do listen to these high rated players. Because if anyone knows what the fuck they're talking about, I'm pretty sure Woodman and Naj and Sensus know exactly what the fuck they're talking about. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you guys in the next one.